Hi, my name is Imo and welcome to my channel In My Opinion. So today we're going to talk about interfaith relationships. Hot topic. So I'm going to share from my own experience. I come from a faith background that teaches the importance of dating and marrying those of the same beliefs. This direction and instruction holds deep purpose and meaning and makes profound sense because who we choose to align our lives with mark some of the most important decisions we will ever make. One will want to be on the same path and trajectory and have shared goals and vision for the future and similar understandings about life with their partner. But if you're anything like me, you may find yourself in an interfaith relationship for a whole host of reasons, and this is just a few. So number one, curiosity. You have a curiosity about life, you have a curiosity about the people that are in this world. You kind of have a certain questioning mind, and you want to know where different outcomes in life will take you, different choices will take you, and you want to know more about people and be able to relate to people and understand people. This can definitely lead you going down that path. So curiosity is definitely one way. Number two, perhaps you want to explore a connection and deep affinity in other areas of your life outside of faith. So it depends, but for some people, faith or spiritual belief, it may not be all encompassing such that they feel like they need to choose a partner only within that faith tradition. So maybe they want to explore connection and affinity in other areas, other aspects of their identity that are meaningful to them outside of faith. Number three, perhaps you feel like you want to choose your own life path and way of thinking and doing things, and you kind of want to kind of be the one that comes outside of the mold or the crowd and make your own choice and choose your own path and see where that leads you. And number four, your personal values. I once was on a forum and I saw a post from a woman who is in an interfaith relationship, and she said that the reason that she chose to be in an interfaith relationship is because she feels it's like a lot more spicier and different and exciting, and it's a way for her to connect with humanity and to learn about different people and backgrounds through her partner that she otherwise wouldn't have known if she stayed within her faith tradition. So I'm sure there's many reasons why people choose to be in interfaith relationships. Share what are your reasons for being in an interfaith relationship. Share it in the comments below. So there are many reasons, but these are some of the reasons that I feel connect with me. While every relationship has its difficulties, interfaith relationships may prove to be especially challenging, as different beliefs and worldviews can be a significant point of contention, just in general, with friends, with family, of course with relationships. So when two people come together and you have different beliefs and ideas about life, it can certainly cause a lot of friction and tension and contention. Certain worldviews may teach specific things, which functions to guide people who belong to these communities on how to think about the world, themselves, and those around them. And this promotes certain ethics, values, mentalities, politics, and so much more. I think that the intricacies of thought are so varied. There's just so many different pathways, and I think that can lead to the butting of heads, depending, of course. So these specificities are what can make the coming together of two diverse spiritual backgrounds difficult. I want to therefore share my 10 realizations of being in an interfaith relationship that I learned, unfortunately, the hard way, but all of the best lessons in life I feel are learned through experience, and unfortunately learned the hard way because in that sense they are like imprinted into your mind, into the crevices of your brain. So, I mean, it's always amazing to be able to walk away from an experience or be in an experience having learned some lessons. So I would like to say that all of these points that I'm going to share can be applied to interfaith friendship and interfaith exchange in general. So if you have relationships with people, family members, friends, co-workers, these points can apply to those relationships as well, but they are more so geared towards romantic relationships. But please feel free to amend them or change them in your mind so that they can apply to your interfaith situation. So, number 1, spirituality is profoundly nuanced, more than anybody can understand. It is so incredibly intricate and sensitive and needs to be handled with utmost care. And I'm talking really pointedly and slowly so that can really sink in. Even if it doesn't feel like it is, or that the person you're interacting with, like your partner, even if it doesn't seem like they care about spirituality, or it doesn't feel like their spiritual expression or spiritual background is important, I would say that it still is. Because I feel that spirituality goes very deep into who we are. And we may not always know sometimes how we express that side of ourselves until we do, or until we put a bit more thought into it. So my advice is to go slowly and gently. So faith, belief, and spirituality are only a few of a host of many other terms we may use to describe one's profound exploration to find and create meaning and purpose beyond the material realm. This exploratory dance of seeking, finding, embodying, and disentangling, all done for the goal, whether intentional or not, to make sense of and impact not only the physical world, but a believed supernatural dimension, is a deeply personal, complex, dynamic, and mysterious lifelong journey. It cannot always be easily defined through words, and I would even say be understood completely by the human mind. Belief is fragile, intricate, and immaculate, and therefore needs to be handled with care. Even if a person belongs to one readily defined faith or commonly known set of beliefs, their diverse upbringing, background, and spectrum of experiences will inform the nuances and distinctions of what they believe and how they choose to practice or demonstrate that belief, what they focus on and what they let go of. The aspects of that faith that they emphasize and ones that fade into the background can also have a lot to do with one's culture, personality, and life trajectory. It's therefore important not to cast your own presumptions onto people, but get to know this intricate and multifaceted being that's in front of you. Explore their story, ask questions, and see if you truly resonate with each other and if you wish to take on each other's journey. And that has to do more so with like romantic relationships, of course, because you're entering into a partnership with that person. People have peculiarities, and preferences. If a specific faith, for example, was represented by a sphere, there may just as well be other bubbles of belief within. This is why, for example, the Christian faith has various denominations and traditions that emphasize different aspects of belief. All this to say that beliefs are constantly being constructed, deconstructed, and reconstructed our entire life journey. The person you meet today may not have been the same person a year ago and may not be the same person that you know 2 years from now. The same person, too, is continually growing in their understanding of themselves and defining what's important to them as they go through the capricious whims of our life's journey. So it's really important that you get to know the person, know their heart, their beliefs, their values, their life, and most importantly, be gentle, be extremely gentle. I think the best thing you can do is to be gentle and get to know the person. For some people, their beliefs may color and shape and shade all their major decisions, including the type of person they date, which may be reason enough to say goodbye before the journey has even begun. It's good to be honest where each other is at and take your time. Sometimes an initial connection can lend towards a great friendship and doesn't need to turn into a romantic relationship. Because sometimes some of the best relationships that we'll ever be in are friendships, or maybe they even start off as friendships first. My advice is not to jump into a new relationship without considering these things first. Have talks with your prospective partner and don't move forward until you feel absolutely comfortable to do so. There's no rush. You never have to feel like you need to rush into a relationship. So again, don't allow yourself to be pressured or rushed. Slow down and backtrack if necessary to determine the right choices for you. Even if you've made a choice, like you've entered into a relationship with someone and you kind of feel like, oh, I don't know if this is actually right for me. It's okay to slow things down. It's okay to take a pause, take a break, or even decide to break off the relationship altogether to really think if this is the right cause of action, because the person is right there. Like, if you want to get back to them, get back with them, they're there still. So it's good to just slow down and make sure that you're making the right decisions for yourself. So number 2 is a very important one. In fact, it's extremely important. In fact, I would say that it's probably one of the most important ones on this list. So number 2 is support each other's beliefs rather than argue about spiritual topics. So again, support, argue. Let's take this one away. Support. Support each other's beliefs rather than argue. Because arguing ultimately can hurt your relationship rather than make it grow. So as explained, beliefs are intricately personal. In many cases, they are deeply rooted, intertwined, and entangled in who a person is. For some, it's a major aspect of their identity, if not how they define themselves completely. It may even be the wellspring or source from which everything else flows forth for that particular individual. Often beliefs are conceptualized in one's mind in such a way where it's difficult to separate the person from their belief. It's important, therefore, to be careful and tread so lightly when you're discussing topics in your partnership related to beliefs and faith. Do not rush into discussions. Truly think about what you want to say and where you are coming from. Question your own motives and untangle the emotions behind what you wish to communicate to your partner. Slow down with yourself first. Put yourself in your partner's shoes and consider how they may receive your words and how it will make them feel. Because of the interlinking of belief and identity, sometimes when one's beliefs are questioned or challenged, they may unintentionally take it as a personal slight. Hence, it is good to seek to understand the heart of your partner as a mentality before any other stance. Be mindful of the fine line between discussion and argument. When you can't understand your partner, resolve simply to love them. Allow areas of contention the space to breathe by providing the time needed. Certain topics will need to be handled with utmost care. Sometimes having conversations where you debate faith topics can be detrimental to the overall relationship. So in having discussions, it's best not to try and convince your partner to believe in something, whether that be a perspective, a viewpoint, if they haven't already expressed interest in this desire. Similarly, it's best not to pressure them to do things they are not ready for or comfortable with. Instead, support whatever path or journey you are currently on and encourage them in the things that matter to them. If you do wish to discuss spiritual topics, go gently and lightly with absolutely no desire for them to agree with you. Embrace the person for who they are today, not who they were yesterday or a fantasy of who they might be tomorrow. Engage with the person that's in front of you right now. and trust individually and as a couple that you'll find your own way. Some things are really just about blind trust. Some things are really just you're trusting what you have, trusting the dynamic that's already present in your relationship, and using that as motivation and hope and encouragement to move forward. Even if you don't have all the answers, even if everything isn't figured out, just trusting what you already have in your relationship is such a great way to go. Instead of assuming or being judgmental or making statements about your partner's character or who you think they are, embrace a posture of curiosity and ask questions. Lead with questions. Even if you think you have your partner down pat and you know, don't go there. Just ask questions. Your partner will always appreciate you asking rather than assuming, because sometimes, you can be wrong. Aim to be a continual learner of your partner and don't think that you have them all figured out. It takes a while to truly get to know someone, but if you see value there, keep exploring. I honestly think it takes years and years to really get to know the essence of someone. So even if you think you know your partner, it's always better to question and go gently and go lightly with them. It's possible to support a person without agreeing with their position. So encourage the positive aspects of their belief and the impacts it has on your partner. Maybe it helps them have a deeper connection to themselves, makes them more selfless, creates a sense of valued community. Maybe it gives them passions and interests, different ways that they help people, support people, serve people. Even if you don't necessarily agree with the belief behind their actions, support and encourage their actions, because that will mean so much to your partner. Maybe their faith, for example, gives them peace. You can always encourage and support the effects and the impact that belief has on them without necessarily agreeing with that belief. And if you cannot encourage and support your partner, evaluate if you are truly the best fit for them. So for example, if you are in your interfaith relationship and you just find yourself continually getting frustrated with your partner's beliefs, and it's really hard for you to even support the fruits of what they're believing in, then sometimes it's just better to take a step back and just really evaluate if you are truly the best fit for your partner. Another recommendation is that it's best to suggest and gently recommend shared activities rather than demanding that something be done. And lastly, I would say approach conversations with joy and lightheartedness. If you are going to have conversations about spiritual topics, which you should, because that is your partner, but approach it from a place of joy and lightheartedness rather than a place of like fighting or contention or upset. So just check yourself. It's good to check yourself and just see, where are you coming from? Number 3 is, it is important to be responsible for your own faith journey. And the recommendation is to create boundaries to protect your faith. Because the person you're dating does not come from your beliefs or faith tradition, they may not always understand the inner workings of your faith, even when they have the best of intentions. I mean, we have to admit that we all have blind spots, and especially if we don't come from a certain faith tradition or belief or practice, those blind spots will be larger. So you have to understand that there will be blind spots in your partner or your friend, and we just have to be empathetic and have grace towards that, and just understand that even if they have the best of intentions, they may not always understand where we are personally coming from. Therefore, it will be very important for you to create your own boundaries to nurture and protect your beliefs in your faith. For example, if you come from a faith where you have particular practices every week, such as attending a gathering or reading a religious text, then it will be important for you to make sure you honor those commitments. If it's important to you for your partner to engage in those activities with you, explain that to them and be patient as they adjust, as it will take time. not expecting them to take on those activities for themselves or to be as excited about them as you are. So I would say you have to be really patient with your partner. If you want your partner to engage in your faith tradition and practice, you're gonna have to be very, very patient and just understand they're gonna have their own thoughts about your practices, and they're entitled to those thoughts. On the other hand, if you're with a partner who doesn't understand the significance of these practices to you, if they're not willing to understand the significance of those practices to you, if they don't have a desire to take on the activities, or at worst they belittle or demean them, you really need to reevaluate the relationship and see if this is the right person for you. I think on a basic level, it could be possible that it's perhaps challenging for your partner to respect you in this way. If you're on the receiving end of a request to engage in a spiritual activity, take this as a chance to learn more about your partner and what's important to them. This will be an act of love. It will also grow your understanding of the world's people. If you decide to take this path, do so generously and without complaining. Considering your own beliefs, schedule such and such, it will be essential to talk with your partner to decide what your level of engagement will look like in terms of partaking in their faith. And I really want to emphasize again that if you have a partner who's asking you to engage in a spiritual practice with them, whether that means going to church with them, or like reading a religious text with them, or participating in spiritual events, it is really important how you respond to your partner when they ask you. It's good not to complain. It's good not to have an attitude of impatience and frustration. Look at it as a chance to really get to know your partner, to spend time with them, to grow in understanding them, a chance to love them, essentially. And if you can't do that, then it's good to just reevaluate if this is the person that you should be with, really. Okay, this is a very important one. And I know that I said that I know that I'm continually emphasizing that each one is important, but this honestly is very important. So number 4 is, I, in my opinion, would not recommend dating somebody if you already wish for them to convert to your faith. And this is probably the biggest mistake that I have made in my interfaith relationship journey, is expecting for a partner to believe in my spiritual beliefs, in my faith background, wanting them when I first meet them, when I'm talking with them, when I'm getting to know them, as things are growing, wanting them to believe what I believe. If you already have that mindset going in, I don't know, you're gonna really have to sit down and really think about this. So this sentiment of wanting your partner to convert to your faith or believe what you believe, it really does impact and affect how you interact with them, even if you think that it doesn't. It really, really does. Because the reason why is because it's very hard for us to separate our deepest desires from our actions. And you can say like, oh, no, yeah, I have that idea of him wanting to convert to my faith on the back burner. It's not really something that I think about too much, but if it's a desire in your heart, it will come out in different ways. So it will be very, very important for you to change this expectation, as it may create a lot of suffering for your relationship, a lot of tension, a lot of arguments. It's good if you are already thinking like this, just take a pause and really think about, get into your thoughts, journal if you have to, and reflect, and just really see if this is the right direction for you. Be honest about what you want in a partner. If you can't change this desire, you may wish to reevaluate if this is the right relationship for you. So for example, if you've met a great friend, a great prospective partner, but you really, really wish they believe the same thing as you do. You wish they converted to your faith tradition, but you're going to go ahead with them because you like them anyway. Just really stop here and just really think about if this is the path you want to take, because there is an element of being selfish with this desire, and we can't expect the people around us to convert or to change their way of thinking just for us. Like, people are multifaceted beings, and they come from different backgrounds, cultures, they're on a different journey than us. Even if they're our partner, for life, for marriage, they're still on a different journey than us. And it's not fair for us to want to put something on them without them coming to that realization or understanding for themselves. So just really think about it. It can be harmful entering or continuing on in a relationship where you wish for the person to change in such a significant way, and wanting your partner to alter something so intrinsic to who they are, such as their belief system or their views on life, will undoubtedly cause both of you to suffer in the form of worry, anxiety, arguments, and so many other ills and evils, I would say. Remember, each person is on their own individual journey. Surrender to this understanding and lovingly accept your partner. As an alternative, it's helpful to focus on those things that bond you together. So, do you have hobbies that you really like? Do you have ways of thinking, like mentalities, like maybe growth? You're both into growth, you're both into helping people. Do you have interests that unite you together? Do you both have a passion for self-development? Do you enjoy analyzing movies together? Use those commonalities as a base to grow your relationship. Allow the joy and love you experience in those moments to expand into other areas of your relationship, kind of like just bleeding through. Understand that whoever you date, even if they are of the same belief, will be different from you. Even those of a similar spiritual background or faith tradition will have varying perspectives and interpretations of life. It is very possible to essentially be in an interfaith relationship with someone from the same faith, especially if you have different ways of believing or practicing that faith, or come from different trajectories or traditions within that faith. It is very possible. So even someone of the same faith background is quite different from you, and you will still need to respect those beliefs. You will have varying perspectives, varying interpretations, and therefore I think the main goal should always be to seek peace and harmony, rather than creating situations and scenarios that will ultimately cause dissension. Ultimately, it's important to keep learning about each other, and this includes learning about each other's faiths. So the fifth realization that I came to, and my recommendation, and it's not an easy one to talk about, is be prepared to say goodbye. So the reason why we date somebody, or even enter into friendship with people, well, not for everyone, but for me, I would date someone to know if there's a lasting connection. And I've put this one at the halfway mark, because in every interfaith relationship, this is more so pertaining to romantic relationships, there will come a time where you will know if it's working or not. So you start dating, you start getting to know each other, you're exploring each other, you're having intimate talks, you are going on dates, you're doing fun activities together, and you will come a point, both of you will have an intuition. And as you check in with each other, as you check in with yourself, you will come to see and understand and know if this is someone that you want to move forward with or not. Like, if you really resonate with each other, or you feel like you're just getting into too many arguments, there's too much tension, and you're just really not seeing eye to eye on so many different areas. So one reason to date is to know if there is a lasting connection with somebody, and to see if you can work well together. If you're facing difficulty and both of you agree, you may choose to do something to work on your relationship rather than saying goodbye, or even maybe before you make that step. So this might include reading books about interfaith relationships. It may include watching YouTube videos, because I find that for me, I don't know about you, but I really enjoy YouTube therapy. Like, if I have something in my life that's a struggle, I will go on YouTube and I will look up a YouTube video about that thing. And for some couples, they may even choose to see a therapist. If you feel like this is a very valuable and worthwhile connection, we continually butt heads, it's very reasonable to see a therapist to help you work through those areas of tension in your relationship and have strategies and tools that you can use to sink into your relationship to help tease out of those difficult areas. Ultimately, if the relationship is not working for both of you, though, you may unfortunately need to make the hard decision to say goodbye. It's good to be in a constant state of reflection and reevaluation and checking in with yourself and your partner regularly to see what's working and what isn't. Deciding to part ways either for a time or indefinitely may be the best decision if certain aspects of your dynamic are proving to be more painful than uplifting. And this is really, really hard, folks. It's not for the faint of heart. It's really hard to say goodbye to a prospective partner, when you have a lot in common, when you've been through things together, when you've had amazing experiences and you've really connected. It's really hard to say goodbye, and sometimes it takes time to say goodbye. Maybe you know in your heart that it's the right thing to do, but it's all about timing as well too. But sometimes in life you have to make the best decision for yourself and for the other person, and you have to release them so that they're able to find a better fit and a better match. And not just so that they're able to find a better match, but so that they can also spend time with themselves and even just work on themselves and enjoy themselves. Because when you're in a relationship where there's a lot of tension, a lot of dissension and heartache, it becomes harder to enjoy life and even to connect with yourself. So sometimes it's the best decision for both, and it's a really hard decision. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for listening to my part. This is part one of two parts of 10 realizations that I've come to in being in interfaith relationships and suggestions that I have. Please join me in part two. And I have a few books that I will link below when it comes to interfaith relationships that I will link in the description. Otherwise, feel free to share what your thoughts are. Are there any of these points that you resonate with the most, or what have you found to be the best for your interfaith relationship? Or what do you disagree with? Is there anything that you would change or wouldn't do? Please comment down below, and thank you so much for listening. See you in part two.